Hi, everyone. Welcome to A Word with Kelly Scott Reed. We're here with Durden today, poet, all lover of all things art. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
And I'm really happy to have you. I have to say, from when we published Eclipse in the press, I think that was in July. Am I crazy? Was it
I think
not
so,
too
yeah.
not too long ago? We basically fell in love with what you write. I mean, you are a poet, you are a lover of words. I am going to read a little bit here
Okay.
from this because I want to read this last few lines. I want people to go back and read it. Love me tender like the moon, empty and full and empty again. Love me like the stars, dead but still shining. That's beautiful.
Thank you so much.
There's this little bit kernel of dark. There's a little kernel of light. It's really beautiful. And what makes you come up with that? Like, how does that come out of you?
Well, so I have always been in love with astrology and astronomy. And so sometimes I just get these weird little pieces of inspiration and I'm like, ooh, I have to write that down. And it's funny because most times when I'm writing poems, I'm also editing them at the same time. So my writing process is insane. But that line in particular, those few lines in particular, I had already written them. And then I was like, but where is this going?
Mm-hmm.
And so I actually kind of started at the end of the poem and then wrote everything from the top down.
That's interesting that you do that because I sometimes will get like a one line and it will meander its way through a
Mm,
poem because I don't necessarily know where it fits. So it
right.
may start at the top and then work its way to the end, or it's the line that hits you in the heart. And I think that you do have a lot of that in your work. I went on your website and was looking around. So Birdsong, your book, when
Yes.
did that come out?
My book baby, it came out, I published it February 28th of this year.
How did you feel? Like, was that incredible?
Oh my gosh. So this book took me, I started writing it when I was 14. I'm 25 now. So it took me about 11 years to finish. But that was because I was a child
Yeah.
and, just growing up and I went to college and all of that stuff. So I had a lot of stuff going on. But this book is very, very, very special to me. Some of these poems are poems that I wrote when I was like 15, 16, 17.
Wow.
And some of these poems, like which one? Solar, I just wrote that like last year. So some of these are from college. For example, grief as a metaphor. Ashley Hayes actually came to my school and she did a craft workshop with us, and then she did like a performance. We had like an open mic kind of thing, but that was the prompt that she gave us, and she said to write grief as a metaphor. And that's the poem that came out of it. So special thank you to Ashley Hayes for pushing that out of me.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I this book, it was so scary to publish it, because it was just like, but these are my feelings and these are the things that I'm really thinking, like, and I was
Mhm.
like, oh no, I don't want anybody. It's almost like somebody's reading my diary.
Right, right. Getting to know you on a very fundamental level and watch you grow. So do
Yeah,
you notice growth in the poetry
I
from when you were
do.
15?
I remember I had written a poem eons ago. And I found it recently, like, and it's like I had written it on paper. And I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, this is what little 15-year-old me was writing about. Like, why was I so upset? said I was hurting like a 35-year-old. But now I feel like my writing has changed. My writing has changed as much as I have. So my writing kind of grew up with me. So yeah.
And will continue and continue to grow. That's the beauty part of, I think, what we can experience with you, because you started so young and you're moving on, and now you're your age now, and then life will happen, things will change, and you'll get to a different point. And that's a great thing to have a body of work that spans that long. It's kind of funny. I'll share an anecdote about one of our editors, Marianne. She had to give a speech at her college or high school, graduation. And she brought it into me. And I got to read 17, 18-year-old Marianne's words of what she was thinking. And it was kind of great to see how she was then and what she's all about now. And that kind of thing is wonderful. I don't think I have any of my old diaries. I don't even know where they are, but I think I would be pretty embarrassing. I think it was all about Steve Perry from Journey or something.
Oh my God.
I'm that old.
I love Journey. So
okay. Duran, that whole thing.
Oh, I'm on the hunt. I'm after you.
So having given all the experiences and how long you've been writing, when is the first time you realized that language had power, or one of the first times that you realized that?
That is a good question. One that I have an answer to. So I have always been in love with words. I was the kid who was, reading college level books in like the 6th grade. My go-tos were, reading the dictionary and and collecting big words like they were infinity stones. And I remember one of the first words that my mother used to describe me was the word loquacious. And of course I looked it up. And I said, "So you mean I talk a lot?" And she was like, "You talk so much, your eyes and your mouth open and close at the same time." And I was like, "Yeah, that's fair." So when I started, reading these books, because I was devouring books. It was to the point where I didn't have a normal like punishment. Like I wasn't a bad kid, but when I did do something that warranted punishment, whatever that was, my mother would take my library card, and that was the end of the world. Like I was just like, oh God, I am in the closet just scourging, like very Nathaniel Hawthorne-esque, like. And I remember I had read some of my mom's books when I was younger. And of course, she had vetted them and was like, okay, this is, tame enough for a 12-year-old to read. But it actually really kind of started with Chicken Soup for the Soul.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I started reading, my mother had gotten me a copy of Chicken Soup for the Teen Soul, I think it was. And I was reading through it and just eating everything that I had read, and someone had written a poem in there, and I was like, oh, that's pretty. And then because I come from a family of musicians, I had originally started writing music, and so that's actually how I even got into poetry, was because I was writing songs, but they weren't done enough to be songs. Like to me, I was like, this is a song, but it's not done. I was like, well, maybe let's try it as a poem. And then I was hooked from there.
That's amazing. Now, so family musicians, do you play instruments, or are you mostly songwriting?
So I actually do play the piano. It's funny. I was teaching myself how to play the guitar. And so I'm left-handed, but the guitar that my dad bought me was a right-handed guitar. So I had to flip it upside down. And then I was like teaching myself. Yeah, it was disgusting.
I love it. No, that's not. We have a friend who recently passed, a gifted guitarist and musician, Miche Fambro. I'll have to send you some of his stuff. He's left-handed. He played his guitar upside down. He was exquisite guitar player. I'm going to send it to you when we're done. I'll make sure I send that to you. That just blew my mind that you said that, but go ahead.
Yeah. And then I started, because I had always sung. I grew up singing in the choir at church because my mother and my grandmother, Lord rest her soul, they both sing. And so, of course, because my grandmother was my absolute best friend. And so, of course, because my grandma sang, I was like, I have to do it too. And it was the only kind of like, it felt very natural to be singing. And so I had sung in the church choir, and then I sang all through school. I like recently like stopped singing in school. I mean, before I graduated college, I think I stopped singing maybe my sophomore year of college. But that was just because I had taken voice lessons, and I had taken the opera class, and they were like, you're not getting the music minor anymore, so why are you taking all of these music classes? And I said, because I need something to keep me sane. But yeah, I actually, it's funny that you mentioned Journey earlier, because I actually sang backup for Foreigner when I was in high school.
What? Okay, just so you know, this is really strange to me, because you are saying so many things and using so many words that I'm like, I can tell you a story. Lou Gramm, the lead singer for Foreigner, is from where we're from.
Oh my God. Baby.
So he's like a local guy.
I love that. I love that so much.
Unbelievable. Okay, keep going. Tell me the story.
Okay. So when I was in high school, you know, I had been in choir the whole time. And it was funny because initially I wasn't even gonna do the advanced choir because I thought that we were moving. My mother was talking about moving to, I think she wanted to move to like Texas or some like just random place. We have no family there. So I was like, why are we even thinking about going there? What are you saying, Mom? So I had started because we had more girls than boys in the choirs, we had what was called girls repertoire chorus. So you had to start in girls rep, and then you had to audition for concert choir. And so I was just like, well, if I'm gonna move, there's no point in me auditioning. And so my music director, Miss Knight, she pulled me to the side and she said, why haven't you auditioned for concert choir? And I said, because I think I'm moving. And she said, is that like set in stone, or what are we doing there? And I said, I don't know. And she said, okay, well, we're going to audition now. And I said, all right. And so she was like, yeah. And so, of course, I auditioned in my voice part, soprano, for anybody who cared. I'm a soprano 1, actually. And she was like, okay, cool. See you in concert choir next year. And I was like, all right. I don't think I'm even going to be here, but you got it. And sure enough, I ended up staying. And we had gotten a new choral director, Mr. Cunningham, who I love very dearly. Oh, that man has such a special place in my heart. He has spoiled me rotten when it comes to and he somehow he had found this contest, and he entered us in this contest, and the song that we had to learn was I Want to Know What Love Is. Now, me being the child of some very seasoned people, I already knew the song. I had grown up singing it. I said, baby, this is this is Tuesday, okay? So of course, every time we sing the song, I am singing my little 16-year-old heart out, okay? I am singing like I have been through 4 divorces and have 3 kids and a mortgage to think about. I had none of that, okay? I was just trying to get through high school. And So it was between us and one other school, and I forget what the school was, but for some reason, I think it was like they had like a previous like choral engagement that they had agreed to, like I think the year prior. And so they were like, well, we can't do it, so it's up to you guys. And so I was, of course, like just scream crying, you know. And we actually went on the Lauren and Wally show. And then they were like, could you sing backup at the concert? And we were like, huh? And
Oh
yeah,
my gosh.
so when they were in Boston, I think that was what, 2014, that was 2014. They were in Boston, and it was them and Styx and REO Speedwagon.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, I was in my glory. Okay, nobody else that I was with knew any of the songs, but I said, come on, baby. I said, sing it. Okay, this is my music.
Amazing.
And I remember Jukebox Hero was our cue song. Mind you, we're in the back of the venue, and they're about halfway through the song, and we were like, we need to be on stage. So we're just like booking it to the stage to sing. And then we go on, and of course they're just up there just being rock stars, and I'm just like, oh my God. I was like,
Wow.
Oh my gosh, it was so funny because somebody from the back of the auditorium that was in front of us, they were like, oh my God, we know them. Like,
That's
it
unbelievably
was so
cool.
cool.
Oh my God. All right. So you have such a wide variety, music, poetry, amongst many other things. Who are your heroes in the art world? Like both literary, musical, who are your heroes?
Oh boy, that's a good question. Um, James Baldwin. I love James Baldwin so much. I've had the pleasure of reading If Beale Street Could Talk in college, and I had been meaning to read that book anyways because I was like obsessed with James Baldwin from like 6th grade. And but when I finally got the chance to read it, everyone in my class, they were like, "Oh yeah, the book is cool," and I'm the only one in the corner sobbing because the book is just doing things for me. So yes, James Baldwin, love him. I read Ann Petrie's The Street, and the way that she, you know, just made she made the book so eerie, but so like, I don't even know what the word is to describe it. So I was just like, wow, I said, if I ever get into writing, you know, like horror, I think I would look to her for kind of guidance. I also am really a big fan of Nana Kwame Adjei. He wrote Friday Black.
Mhm.
That book, oh my gosh, that book just, it played with my head. And I loved it because I grew up watching The Twilight Zone. Yeah, The Twilight Zone is actually like one of my favorite shows. Yeah, my parents are seasoned, like I said. One of them is in their 70s, the other is in their 60s. So that kind of tells you how I grew up a little bit. So, you know, my mother had me watching shows like I Love Lucy, the Carol Burnett show, you know, The Twilight Zone, the Andy Griffith show, Mary Tyler Moore. So, you know, so
Yeah.
these are the kind of things that I was, you know, I was like 15, interested in these things, like staying up till 3 o'clock in the morning to watch Night Gallery. And everybody's like,
Oh,
yeah, everybody's
I
talking
love
about
that.
Bob's Burgers. And I'm like, but have you seen Night Gallery? And they're like, what? And I'm like, you don't like Columbo? And they're like, what is that?
It's
So,
important to have that history. Honestly, because we tried with our kids to give them whenever they'd say, have you seen this new thing? I go, yes, but have you seen that happened 35 years ago?
Right.
That was the precursor to all of this stuff.
Right.
So when you get that history, I think it informs your writing. I think it informs your art in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah. No, I'm somebody who I love history. And I really like, just I like a lot of older shows, shows where all of the characters are essentially dead now. My mother had me watching the Golden Girls, and so sometimes I say things and I'm like, wow, that was so very Golden Girls-esque. I often say to my mother whenever I start a story, I'm like, so picture it, it's Sicily, 1922. And she's like, oh my God. She's like, bro, how old are you?
Picture it. Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah. No,
any musical heroes that you have? Like anybody to go on forever?
Let's get into it.
Okay, let's do it.
So love Stevie Wonder. I big Stevie Wonder fan. I actually have Talking Book on vinyl. Yeah.
Nice. So you have vinyl. That makes me very happy.
Yeah. I have the Isley Brothers is actually like my favorite, like old school band. And Nina Simone. The way that I love Nina Simone and take up for her, you would think that she was my mother. Okay. There is no Nina Simone slander allowed anywhere in my vicinity. I mean, because you can't really slander her anyways, because she's just incredible. But Nina Simone is just her ear for music, like just the way that she writes her songs is just oh my gosh, it just blows my mind every time I think of her. And one of my favorite songs by her is He Needs Me, and that is a song I always singing that song, always humming it around the house. And I actually have I Loves You Porgy and My Baby Just Cares for Me on a green vinyl.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Oh.
Where did you even get it?
There's a record store in St. Louis, and I had ordered it online because I saw someone talking about Black-owned record stores, and they just happened to have Little Girl Sings the Blues, which is one of Nina Simone's albums, but it came with the special edition green vinyl, and I said, I have to have it. Click purchase.
Nice.
Yeah.
Have you seen Summer of Soul? You probably have. The Questlove documentary?
I actually have not watched it yet.
You have to. So it was going on at the same time that Woodstock was going on, but it was happening in New York.
Yes.
Nina Simone is in it. They have like gospel. They have Sly and the Family Stone. I mean, it's just goes on and on and on. It's like a historical thing that kind of went underground. He won the Oscar for it, I think.
Yeah.
I have to ask, Rob, is that true? Did he win the Oscar? I think he won the Oscar for the documentary. It's absolutely awesome. You're saying Nina Simone. She's prominently featured. It's incredible. You will love it. But as you were saying that, I want to make sure I mentioned Summer of Soul.
Yes.
It's on Netflix, I think, right? Or HBO. I'm talking to my husband because he's the music guy. HBO or he's looking. We'll get back to you, but keep going. I'm sorry. I want to make sure I mentioned that.
So Nina Simone, Stevie Wonder, the Isley Brothers. I listen to a lot of neo soul, so like Jill Scott, Erykah Badu, Bilal, Raphael Sadiq. And I I remember when, I think that was about 1 or 2 summers ago, when Jill Scott and Erykah Badu did their versus battle. I had to take the day off because I said, I don't think y'all understand. This is a big thing for me. It's so funny. I was sitting in my bedroom, lights off, candles lit, incense burning. I had my crystals. I said, this is a spiritual experience. Okay.
Yes.
So we're at church right now.
That's
And I
amazing.
watched all 3 hours of that battle. I was sobbing by the time it was over. My mother was like, "Are you okay?" I said, "I just watched Erykah Badu and Jill Scott on Instagram Live. Don't speak to me for the next 2 days."
I need to let this soak in.
No,
This is a soaking in
it
experience.
was so funny. I had texted my brother and I was like, "Bubby," that we call him Bubby. I said, "Bubby," I said, "I don't know what to do with myself." I said, "I'm still crying." And he was like,
Oh.
"You're right. You're absolutely correct."
That's awesome. Now, when you're writing, do you have anything that hinders your writing, like a writing kryptonite, like something that happens where you just feel you're unable to produce?
That's a good question. I think there's nothing that necessarily hinders me from writing for too long. I think I'm used to writing in weird spaces. I worked at Barnes and Noble for a spell. And I was, I felt like I was Kathleen Kelly. Yeah, if you know, you know. I was just watching that last night. It's my favorite movie. So yeah.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. But I was I remember being on the sales floor and having, customers come up to me and ask me, "Oh, can you find this book for me? Or do you know who this book is by?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'll do that in 5 minutes when I finish this poem." So I'm used to like writing poems like at work and like on the train, or like even sometimes when I'm driving, I'll like have to pull over because I'm like, "Oh, I'm inspired." I've written poems in class. And I know my professors were not happy about that, but I said, "I have an A average in this class. Please let me just have this for 5 minutes." But they were very understanding. They knew how dedicated I was and am to the writing. So there's not really much that hinders me when I'm writing. I mean, if someone comes in and like starts talking to me, then it's like, okay, hang on for a second because I'm trying to get this last few words out. But for the most part, there's really nothing that hinders me when I write.
That's awesome. I can kind of tell, and I know I'm making assumptions. You have an energy that seems to be unblocked.
Yeah.
And that's a really rare thing. I have a lot of blocked energy. I'm just saying that honestly. Life is blocked energy.
Right.
But no, you do have a very, like, you have an ability, it feels like, to find the words, to find the energy, to find the inspiration, just in what you're talking about, how enthusiastic and excited you are. It makes it feel exciting to me. And I'm sure the people listening and watching will feel excited by what, like, you're inspiring. I'm sitting there going, "Oh, there's this and there's this." My mind is like, you said the word loquacious, and I have to tell you this story.
Yeah.
My grandmother, who died at 101 about 3 years ago, was my hero. I loved this woman. She was like an old movie star. She wasn't. She was a stay-at-home mom of 5 kids, but she was a movie star in my opinion.
Right.
She had a story. She used to be in this theater company called the Black Friars out in Rochester, downtown Rochester, New York. Yeah. And she would go to these play rehearsals. And on her way back, the Model T car had just come out.
Right.
Swear to God. And this guy pulls up, just like today. This guy rolls up in his Model T, turns to her and goes, "Hey, come over here. I want to talk to you for a minute."
Okay.
And she looked at him and went, "I am not that loquacious a girl." And when you said that word, I went, okay, there was my grandma beaming in. For me at that moment. What is your sign, may I ask you? Because you're astrology.
Yes.
So give me
So I am a Capricorn. January Capricorn.
January what?
7th.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Marianne is a Capricorn, one of our editors, and she's the most delightful human. And she's the one who picked your poem. That's insane.
I love that. I love that for us because we are here. Yeah, no, I actually it's funny because my paternal grandmother, her and my paternal grandfather, they were deceased long before I was born. But we actually have the same birthday.
Mm.
Yeah, and I always thought that was so funny because I'm like, well, me and this grandmother have the same birthday, and then me and my mother's mother were very close. Like it was almost like my grandmother, who I affectionately refer to as Bertie, her name was Roberta, and everybody called her Bert, but I was like, I'm the favorite grandchild. I'm gonna call her something different. So I started calling her Bertie, but it was almost like we had our own language. And it was like my grandmother. Sometimes I would just call her, and it was like she knew something was wrong, but she never acknowledged that anything was wrong. She would just say things, and it was like every time I talked to her, I just immediately felt better. um and so I always laugh about just how connected I am to my grandmothers. And it's always something interesting to think about for me. But yes, I am a January Capricorn, sun and moon.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
yeah, with a Virgo rising.
Okay, the Virgo is what I'm seeing because I'm a Virgo.
Ooh.
I'm like, there's something about you. You're the
Yeah.
Sagittarius rising. It's a very people see me as this lunatic with
Yeah.
with a wild party side. I don't want to swear on the podcast, but I will. I got my shit held down,
Yeah.
but I have a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So that's a good. Oh, that's so funny because I was seeing the Virgo, and it was just the detail that you were bringing in, and the way you were speaking about things. Like, wow, that the enthusiasm by which that you speak was reminding me of that. But I had one more question, and I'm like, I could talk to you for about 3 hours. So maybe we'll have to do this again sometime.
Yes.
And I don't know, we also have like readings once in a while. We'll send out some personal invitations because I think our group, our press would love to have you read. I think your energy is so amazing. Now I can't remember the question because I am the flip of your age.
Really?
52.
No way.
5. Yeah.
You look 25.
Thank you. I'm not.
This is how you age when you mind your business.
So I'm the flip, which I think is so interesting. The connection. I'm just connecting with you. What was I going to ask? My brain just melted for some reason. Oh, tell us about things you have coming out. Tell us what's going on in your life, okay. Literally.
So, surprise, I have started working on the second book. And that is so exciting. I am very excited to write it. It's so funny because I was considering going to school to get a master's in fine arts of creative writing. The only caveat to that is that my undergrad degree is not in English. Yeah, I actually have a bachelor's of science in psychology.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. So my degree is actually in psychology with a double minor in Middle East and African American studies. Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool.
Thank you.
Awesome.
I had to stop there because I wanted to graduate on time. Because at one point I had 4 minors. Yeah, I had the Middle East studies, African American studies, music, and computer science. So yeah, I was all over the place.
Wow.
Yeah.
But how do you limit your mind? Honestly, how do you limit that kind of mind?
can't. And that's the problem. If I could go to school forever, I would. I would just collect degrees and, you know, just do things just for the fun of it. But school is very expensive. And since I work in human services, I don't make a lot of money.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, so I am, like I said, I'm writing the second book. And I actually have, if anyone is in Massachusetts, I do have a like a signing kind of release party for Birdsong coming up on September 30th. And that I'm very excited for that. It's actually the first thing that I've done, thing that I've organized rather for myself. I've spent, like, you know, I've done a lot of like helping other people organize things and, you know, going to other people's events, but I was just like, I haven't done one for my stuff. And so it's very scary to be organizing something for myself, because it's almost like, oh my God, all of these people are going to be looking at me and they're going to be like hearing me. And what if they think my accent is weird? And like, you know, so a lot of anxiety around that, but I'm also very excited to do it, because I feel like it'll help. And so yeah, so that's what I've got coming up. And you know, I'm just for now just hanging out.
Do you have do you have Birdsong with you so you could show it to? Yes, I love the cover. It's awesome.
Thank you.
Did you have someone do that for you, or is that just a concept you made up?
I did it myself.
Oh, I think I knew that instinctually. I'm like, she's going to tell me. That's just beautiful. Is there anything you can't do, Mo? I don't think there is. I don't.
Math.
So. Me neither. You were talking about writing in your classes. During my first year of college, they make you take all the things that you're terrible at, like math and science. I'm like, I'm not good at this. I used to fill notebooks during math class with writing.
I love it.
And I failed. I was terrible. I was just like, oh, I don't care. I'll get a C in that. I don't care. I just need to get out of this math.
No, literally, as long as I pass with like a C-, I'm cool. Like that was the only, because so I realized that I actually have dyscalculia, which is math dyslexia. And it explained why I was struggling in math so much. But for some reason, by the end of the semester, I would always bring my grade up. Like I would start the semester with like a solid F. And then by the end of the semester, I'd have like a B. And nobody understood it. And it was just like, this whole time, I have had a learning disability. And nobody knew it because they kept putting me in the gifted classes. And it's like, I'm not, like, I understand things. But I was just like, I don't understand why I'm having such a hard time with math. Like, and I was great at science. Like I was great at literally everything except for math. Like I remember they put me in calculus. And I was like, what is happening here? Why are there letters in the math equations? And I just sweating profusely all semester long. But then of course I ended up, you know, passing the class. And I was just like, what is that about? And then I read something and I said, oh my God, I said, this whole time I've had dyscalculia this whole time, didn't know it. And I was just being super hard on myself because I'm like, I'm not getting it. And I hate not understanding things. That's the Capricorn coming out. And
I'm so sad Marianne's not here. She had a previous engagement because when she watches this, she's going to be calling you. She'll be texting you. She'll be wanting to talk to you. So
she can call me anytime, day or night. Okay. I always have time for another Capricorn.
Our Cappy. We joke with her. We're like, okay, Cappy, whenever she's
I love that.
It's amazing. I am so thrilled to have had you. This has been awesome. Absolutely awesome
for me. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And you know, these come out on Wednesday, the day before. I'm going to let you know so you can start promoting it for your audience that I'm sure will be growing and growing and growing. And I'm really thrilled that you spoke with us today.
I'm so glad to have been here today.
Thank you so much, Mo.
Thank you.